Alex Golesh has almost filled out his entire staff, but which hire do we like the most? Mid-Week Rapport coming at you guys on a Friday night. That's right, Friday Night Live here with my guy, Philip Dukes and C-Dub, to talk a little Auburn football here on a Friday night, guys. Brought to you by our friends at the Rage Room. If you're in the Opelika area and you want to break some shit, well, they're the place you need to be. And if you're in Birmingham, you can throw axes, jump on cars, bust up windshields. It's very therapeutic, I promise. The Rage Room, allowing you to get your stress out in a very unique way. Great for team building, by the way. Sign up as a patron, guys. $5.99 a month will get you there. Ike Jones has been on the road all year long covering for you guys. You can keep him on the road by signing up as a patron. We appreciate our Green Name Gang for supporting the work that we're doing here. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. Let's see if we can give 100 given away tonight in honor of Alex Golesh almost hiring a whole staff. I still think he needs a tight ends coach, guys, but we'll talk about that later on today's show. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. Also want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. If you're in the Columbus, Phoenix City area and you're looking to get fresh for the weekend, the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Last but certainly not least, subscribe to us on podcasts, the Auburn Express, the Up-Tempo Pod, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming Channel, bringing you guys lots of great audio-only content. Whether you're on your way to work, to school, dropping the kids off at school, or maybe just headed to work out, well, the War Report is in your ear on your favorite podcast, Spotify, Amazon. Turn us on and turn us up. Let's jump into our conversation here. Joining me tonight is Philip Dukes, a host of Dukes the Scoop over on Dukes the Scoop on YouTube. We appreciate him for joining us here, trying to make this a regular thing here with Dukes. And, of course, C-Dub joining us on today's show. Guys, on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about that staff that Alex Golesh has hired. I almost couldn't fit all their heads in on the thumbnail for this one. But look, man, they made Cody Burns official today. That was the worst kept secret here on this staff. But there were some other hires that I thought were interesting. And we're going to talk about those hires tonight. Alex Golesh has used the word elite repeatedly since he has become Auburn's head coach. My question that I want to start with is this an elite staff that he's put together here? I think there are definitely some elite guys here that Auburn has in some of the position groups.
Yeah, I think so. I've been impressed. It's hard to be upset with this staff because you've seen these guys flourish. You can actually attribute for a lot of these guys who are on the staff. You can point out amazing players, plural, for some of these guys that they've coached, guys that they recruited. These guys have done really well at previous stops. One of the things that I'm impressed with is how intentional it is that Alex Golesh was about assembling this staff, because one of the things that he's talked about with these players is development. And I think you can't develop players if you don't even have a plan in place for developing your staff. What I mean by that is, at least on the defensive side of the ball, we can talk offense too, but you got 3 defensive coordinators at previous stops who are on this staff. And what that tells me is that should Durkin move on, if Auburn has success,
quotable guys, for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to look far to go find your next coordinator, which means you have a succession plan in place with this staff. And to me, I think that's going to be fun, just seeing these guys come up with game plans, because no matter how good of a coordinator you are, you got weaknesses, you got strengths, you got things that you do well, things that you don't do well. That's why you bring in other coordinators, because they can probably see things that you don't see. They're probably good at, got ideas, to address some of those weaknesses. They can cover some of your weaknesses. To me, I'm excited about that part. And even on the offensive side of the ball, I'm excited about Cody Burns getting the, I know it's more than a title of co-offensive coordinator, because I hear how Alex Golesh talks about Cody Burns. I think if Joel Gordon, who he's raved about, who he thinks is a much better coach than he is, paraphrasing him, but I mean, he gave big praise to Joel Gordon. If he moves on, who do you think is the next OC? Again, I like how he has lined in his continuity for these kids as well, because you don't have to bring in someone who with a completely different system. They may have different ideas of how they call the game or how they call plays, but it's the same system in place on both sides of the ball. So I like how intentional he's been with how he's assembled his staff. And I think that, again, you can be a good coach, but if you don't have the right guys around you, you're going to be limited in what you can do with these kids. And so I've been impressed so far.
Dukes, one name that I got excited about when I saw this was Larry Porter. Larry Porter coming back home to the running back. Talk to me about Larry Porter, man. I know this is a name you like a lot as well, too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. LP, one of the OGs in the industry, really good in the metro area. If you look at what he's done, he was the hot young coach in the mid 2000s. He was the guy who Oklahoma State. Then he goes to LSU. Then he gets a head coaching job at Memphis, his alma mater, early. Didn't go how as he wanted it to, but then he bounces right back, and he's been in the industry. Links up with Mac Brown, and when you look at some of his more recent success, he's still very, very relevant. He gets along with parents really well, and he's got more of that uncle feel, like a real live, hey, yeah, boom. Like, my son calls me a cultured unk. He's 12, but that's what he says. He's like, Dad, you're a cultured unk, because
that is a
great
man. I appreciate it, man. He's like, but he says you give me good advice, you got wisdom, but you understand how to speak to the kids. And I think that is the perfect description of Larry Porter. You look at what he's done recently. Just go to the NFL. You see a guy like Omarion Hampton. If you guys play fantasy football, he's one of the guys that you had to draft this year, right? Early on, he was, now we don't, as far as placement, and was he a round 1 or a round 2 guy for the fantasy football heads? That was up to you. But when you look at what he did at the University of North Carolina, that's a Porter guy. This year, he just stole one out of Georgia at the last minute. Amari Latimer, who was committed to Wisconsin, who flirted with Georgia, who flirted with Ohio State. This was a guy who nobody saw West Virginia coming for this guy. That was one of the surprises of this class. So he still has his fastball. What he liked to do, he was responsible for Sean Shivers. We're talking about a guy who not only does he want to have a big change of pace, and he wants his running backs to be able to do different things and be able to play them in the game at the same time. So you may see a format, and now you look at this offense where you can have a guy, a speed back, or you can have a Cobb balanced by a Mapson. Well, there are so many formations and so many different things that this offense can do. I thought Larry Porter was the perfect hire. Some people were, there was some chatter about Cam Martin, who ended up at Florida State. There was also some potential chatter about Marcus Davis moving to the running back room. But I think both of those guys would have been fine hires. But I think Larry Porter is right in line with those. So, man, shout out to Larry Porter, and glad he's on the Plains.
Yeah, kind of off subject, though, but Gus tapping Cam Martin again, I thought he's turned into a really good young coach. Something that you said that was important there as we move through the rest of these hires, being able to talk the talk that these kids are talking. We did a fireside with the offensive line. I think it was like Dylan Wade, because he's from Texas, right? Like, isn't he from Texas? I think he's from the Houston area. And I was like, we were, the firesides, if you don't know what fireside with the War Report was, we literally sat around a fire pit just to talk ball and life. And I was like, what y'all listening out there in Houston now? Y'all on that UGK? And he was like, yeah, maybe in the older generation, sir. But
right,
there's something different now. And I tell you, like, some of these coaches have a very unique talent to be able to communicate across eras.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm thinking, think about what the guys were like when we were in school at Auburn. And, some of these coaches, man, have really kind of just kept up with what's important to kids today. Which moves me on to another hire that they made official today. Again, it was the worst kept secret. It's Cody Burns. We got the official press release from Auburn. He's going to coach wide receivers and be co-offensive coordinator alongside Joel Gordon. Auburn's offense last year, how do I say this professionally? It sucked. It was bad. Yeah, they didn't do a whole lot, and part of the reason, I think, part of what signifies how badly they sucked. All offseason, what did we hear about this roster? About how talented they were, and then going into the coaching search, all we heard was, well, the talent is attracting big name coaches to the Plains. Well, for all that talent, only Jeremiah Cobb made third team All SEC. All those show-stopping wide receivers, not one of them made first, second, or third team All SEC on offense. Not an offensive lineman, not a quarterback, nobody. It is the duty of Cody Burns and Joel Gordon to get these guys on lists at the end of next season. I got to see it, man. I think Cody's going to play a major role in this. Golesh has said, look, man, he's all but said that he's written Cody into his will. I think if Golesh kicked the bucket, Cody might adopt his kids. he's trusting him with a lot here, right?
Yeah, he is.
KB.
Yeah, I mean, KB. I've never heard anybody call him KB until
that's how you know they cool.
Yeah, like I want to see if these guys offensively can come up with some fresh ideas. And utilize the talent better. Caesar Dukes, what was it? Our guy Vontrell, I think he's the only holdover in terms of the previous coaching staff, right? Him and Durkin.
Yeah,
right?
That's correct.
Nobody offensively got retained, so this should look different this year, right? With this coaching staff.
And also, Mike Marcus. I know people keep asking about Marcus Davis. Is he let go? Because I mean, when I saw Cody Burns on the Plains, I was like, it's night.
What's he gonna coach?
No, so Marcus got opportunity for the running backs coach. So you got to think Cody coached Marcus, and from that perspective, the reason so Marcus was one of those guys who was on that list, like, kind of got to keep this guy. But now there was some talk about Cody potentially moving out to another room, whether it be running. So you got running backs and tight ends.
Okay.
Now, to be versatile, Alex Golesh has coached multiple positions, and he's a tight ends guy, but he's coached multiple position rooms on his way up. And so that was an opportunity given to Marcus, from what I understand, to kind of help broaden his horizons, because the amount of nuance that it takes to coach the wide receivers in this offense to get rolling how they needed to, Cody was going to need to coach the wide receivers based on the offense. Not because of they didn't trust Marcus, didn't think Marcus was a good guy, because you haven't heard a lot about anybody, really moving on. You heard about Rock moving on. You heard about,
right.
There was never any, you heard TJ Rushing. You heard all of these names. You never heard anything about Marcus Davis. And the reason is because I'm not even sure if Marcus Davis won't be your tight ends coach. Now, I think that's a long shot at this point. Now, this is probably, of everybody on that offense last year, he was probably the most highly coveted. I don't know if you guys remember when Oregon tried to come get him last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Marcus Davis, if he doesn't take this tight ends job, which I'm not completely sure if he will or he won't, but if he doesn't take this tight end job, Marcus Davis is in Auburn. So I'm not sure, for a guy of his caliber, as young as he is, and when you look at what he's done over the past few years, now there were some guys who may feel like, oh, well, I want to see the on-field performance be better, but name a better wide receiver room, top to bottom, since Marcus Davis has been in Auburn. It doesn't get any better in the nation. Maybe Ohio State, but 1 through 6, 1 through 7, I don't think you could have beat Auburn's wide receiver room last year. So I think as far as Marcus goes, hopefully they find a way, but it looks like time is dwindling, and I think he is married to the position. So we may see him move on, but I don't know. There's always a fighting chance, but to your point, it's going to look different next year. And what I'm most excited about, is having a young guy, a really vibrant, maybe exuberant type guy in the offensive line room.
Yeah,
That's what that's no disrespect to Jake Thornton, but Jake Thornton kind of wasn't like, you don't see Jake Thornton and think, like you just doesn't kind of give you like the, it's in the warm fuzzies. This dude, was it Tyler Hudenick, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so he look at his profile picture, bro. It looks like he's about to jump out and recruit you right there. Like he's he's about to jump off the scrreen. To have some young energy in the offensive
line, man.
He's right about that picture, though. He do look like like he's ready to recruit anybody
right now.
Me right now. Sir, this is Wendy's.
So that's what I'm excited about on the offensive staff.
Look, before we move on down to the staff here, do have a little bit of breaking news. Auburn sent out a press release about 15 minutes ago. Auburn sophomore linebacker Xavier Atkins has been named a second-team Walter Camp All-American. The Walter Camp Football Foundation announced tonight. So Xavier Atkins making second-team Walter Camp All-American. It's a big deal. Now, I talked about, again, the lack of guys on lists. Keldrick Falk made, I think, third-team All-SEC. Kieron Crawford, I think, also well made third-team All-SEC. And Xavier Atkins was Auburn's lone first-team All-SEC guy. So on the defensive side of the ball, they played well. You're seeing guys at least there. They were just as talented on the offensive side of the ball. And it's, the retention conversation, which we're going to have in the second half of the show. I got to think keeping Marcus Davis was going to be about some of that retention. Look, man, he was a pretty good recruiter under Hugh Freeze. Marcus was.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. So, I know that they have a plan, an approach to going about this, but someone asked me the question on one of our Auburn Express episodes that I wanted to pose to you all. And it was, hey, is there an adjustment period from South Florida to Auburn in terms of the type of kids that you're going to go after here? Is Alex Golesh going to have to adjust to being in the running for 5-star guys? Right? Like, there's a lot of talk about his quarterback at South Florida, Byron Brown. Great kid, very, very, very talented. But he's got access to Byron Brown's and then some now that he's at Auburn. I got to think it's been Auburn's bugaboo. They've been when they've been able to find a dude at quarterback, it's been literally the difference between like 8-5 and national championship. That's been Auburn.
Yeah.
Right? Right, think about it. They went 8-5 in 2003. Then Jason Campbell got paired with Al Borges when we was in school, 13-0.
Yeah.
You went 8-5 with Chris Todd in 2009. You got Cam Newton, 13-0. You went 3-9. You pick up Nick Marshall. So close to a national title.
So close.
The year before Jared Stidham got here again, you're like a 7-8 win team. And then, bam, you beat Georgia and Alabama in the same season. Just go find a quarterback. This is what on God, this is the one thing I will judge this staff partially on. If you can't find a quarterback, if you can't field a dude who could be in the top 4 or 5 in the SEC in passing, I'm going to flip my ever-living shit every Saturday.
It is crazy.
I'm telling you, I'm being a fan right now.
I love it.
I'm being a fan right now. It is so I can't be a fan in the press box, so I'm not gonna flip my shit in the press box. But
right.
We do these watch parties. So when they're on the road, I will be at home in front of this camera, knocking stuff over. Right. If we don't see at least average quarterback play. Right? Who's the dude? What's the dude's name? Is Gordon. Gordon is the he's a quarterback's coach too, isn't he?
Yep. Joel Gordon.
Come on, bro. I'm looking at you. I'm putting this all on you.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I don't care if you bring in Byron Brown. I don't care if it's Deuce Knight. I don't care if they keep Ashton Daniels. That dude better pass for 3,000 yards next year and at least 20 touchdowns. Year one. No transition. Don't give me no rebuild talk. Nothing. Go out there and get it done.
It's the same staff that took a 1-win team the year prior and made them bowl eligible. I expect they turn around with the talent, especially if you're able to retain a significant portion of this roster, I expect a significant turnaround. I think last year the offensive staff, they really shot in the head this theory about Jimmys and Joes, because Auburn had Jimmys and Joes and just couldn't get it done, right? And so you need guys who know what to do with talent, and we've seen USF do more with less. So I am excited to see what they do on the recruiting trail. But what I think, and I wonder what you guys think about this. I'm not saying that Auburn won't recruit on as high of a level, but one of the things that I've heard that stood out to me about Alex Golesh and what he talks about is guys who not only fit culture but really fit what they do. And so the emphasis being on development. The guy may not be a 5-star, he may not be a 4-star, but he has the right attitude, coachable, and someone who has the talent to fit his scheme, and plugging him in and really seeing him flourish. Again, there's a next level of the NFL full of 3-stars coming out of high school who are dogs.
Okay.
And so and that's something that I'm not saying it's a team, it's going to be a roster full of 3-stars, but I'd be interested to see some of the guys that actually flourish in this offense who coming out of high school people probably didn't think that much of.
Okay, but Caesar, let me hit the pause button here, because I want to spark some debate tonight. So this is for you and Deuce.
Let's go.
When they say we want to find guys that fit what we do, right? I gotta think though that you're trying the level that you're that you're trying to recruit on. Especially the skill positions, what does that apply to? Are there, like under Gus, they were looking for like a certain kind of lineman, right? Because of how they play, you maybe had to be a little bit leaner and then I'll say this, like when Dan Lanning got to Oregon, I would even say for Cristobal too, when he got there, the one thing that those dudes understood was this whole little fast lineman thing that Oregon was doing. No, we're going to build lines built for the SEC. Just at Oregon, we're going to go get dudes who are big and fast, and we're going to put them on the line, and we're going to crush opponents. Cristobal started that work. Lanning picked it up. They understood. They were like, that's where these other conferences were getting beat by the SEC in that run that the SEC had, where they had like 10 or 11 straight championships. It was the line. When Auburn played Oregon in the national championship and then Glendale, Arizona, the difference between those two teams, some might think it was Cam Newton. No, it was Nick Fairley down there wrecking shop. It was they got dominated on both sides of the line. Cam Coleman fits whatever system you're running. I don't care what his system is. He's Cam Coleman. They told him that too last week when they met with him. They said, look, man, we want you here. You're an integral piece. So when you say, does a guy fit what we're trying to do, who does that apply to? Because I'm like, I got to think. So a lot of the 5-star kids that they want to recruit here, they fit every system, man. They're big, they're fast, they process the game at a high level. I think that's over. I think that only matters if you're going after a bunch of low 3-star kids who you're trying to develop into 5-stars during their time in college, right?
Yeah, it depends, Mike. I mean, I would have liked to have seen Perry Thompson stay. Wouldn't you?
Right. Like, did he fit? Like, did he not fit what they were trying to do? Would you argue that Perry Thompson didn't fit?
No, I don't know if he fit at the price point.
Okay,
that's the other part of it. And that's the other part of it. Because if you're not a big fit, are we going to really put more money into you?
Yeah.
Now, see, you got to think they got an idea of. We think. I don't know if you guys are now. Everybody's talking about the kid at South Florida, one of the 6'3" receivers, Keyshawn Jameson. Keyshawn, he's from Atlanta too. What's his name? They both
probably know.
If I wouldn't have thought about it, I could tell you.
I'll look at Singleton.
Keyshawn Singleton.
Singleton. Yep.
Keyshawn Singleton. So you look at a guy 6'3", 215, can run, right? Good solid hands. They got a kid. They got another 6'3" on the other side who's also from Atlanta, by way of Baltimore, Maryland.
Yep.
Last name
Coger. Yep.
Yep. So when you look at those two now, some ties into Auburn. This kid played with a lot of the players from Atlanta in Little League, so he moved to Baltimore. but they got 2 6'3" monsters on each side. They're gonna do the same thing here. Now,
I wouldn't be surprised to see some because Koger is a freshman, right? And
man, had 7 touchdowns in 8 games. He didn't even start the season starting.
One of those dudes is going to be an Auburn Tiger next year. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Now you think about this: somebody who knows the offense already, someone who's been successful in the offense already, someone who can high point the ball, guys who when they know how to get open in this offense. This offense is a ton of thinking, right? So the wide receivers, when you look out wide, they're looking at the coverage. They have an option route, probably 60 to 70. I want somebody to ask, how often on the outside do the wide receivers have option routes and pass plays? But if you ask somebody on the outside, it seems like 60 to 70%, which makes it so hard because they're able to run option routes off of every coverage. So whether if you press them, they run in the fly. If you back up, they run in the hitch. That's what's been so impressive or so hard to stop for this offense. Look at everybody who's running this offense, successful offensively. South Florida, successful. Tennessee, still successful. Kennesaw State, that's Jerry Mack. He's running the same thing, successful. Cody Burns, after he leaves, is going to be successful. This offense works. It's worked everywhere. Every iteration of this offense has worked. But it's not only because of the quarterbacks. It's not only because of the running backs. It's the wide receivers having to be cerebral enough to make the right read. So the same way that a quarterback has to be successful, it has to make the right read to be successful in RPO. If you hold on to the ball, you make the wrong read, the offense doesn't work. Same thing for receivers. So if you can get a guy who may not be as flashy or have the pretty muscles or all of this, but he's still 6'3", he still can run, and maybe he doesn't check all the boxes for on 3 or 24/7, but he checks all the boxes for Alex Golesh, then that's when you kind of say, okay, I don't have to pay the ranking premium for a guy that we see can do what we need him to do. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah, I think too, because Alex Golesh, it's pretty clear to me from the last press conference that we had that loyalty is something that's really, really important to him. So for these kids that are going to transition maybe from USF to Auburn, what they're going to allow him to do, fellas, I think is they're going to be culture keepers. So they're going to understand the process. He talked about having a process-driven program, but they're going to be able to help bring other guys along to what they're trying to do from a scheme standpoint as well. And so, look, I mean, I think that's the whole idea behind potentially bringing Byron Brown in. He talked about having a quarterback that can process the game and process the system. And look, man, if you want to win year one, you bring a guy in who has all the athletic gifts, but also mentally is already ahead of the game in terms of processing the concepts that you're going to want to employ. Now, he did talk about building a system around the talent, which I like that. Instead of trying to make that square peg fit in that round hole, let's make us a round peg for a round hole. And I like that. I like that they're going to try to do that. I just think you're going to have to work with a lot of the talent that you have in year one, and then you go out and you recruit the right kids here, but you build a foundation. Look, we're approaching the 30-minute mark, so we're going to let Caesar go here in a second after the break, and then Dukes and I are going to carry you guys through the hour mark. But before we get out of here, Caesar, I do want to give you the last word. The last position that he has to hire, I don't think they've hired it yet, is tight end. And let the church say amen when I say that tight end play was awful. No position group needs more improvement than that room right there. And whoever he brings in, I hope that they can not only recruit better. I feel like it was a combination of lack of maybe development, but also some recruiting misses. I think that the evaluations that they had on some of these guys just didn't hit. And, you know, from what we can see, Ike said that Golesh runs a decent amount of 11 personnel. So you got a tight end on the field, and he's going to have to contribute, man. Like, is this one of the, you know, in terms of fixing what's wrong on offense, how important do you see that tight end?
Yes, very important. Yeah. Critical. It's like, critical, man, because another thing too, because you talked about misses, but there's some people who walked out the door on you that you was depending on last year. That would have changed the whole perception of that entire room in my personal estimation, right? So again, it's not only someone that you get in that in that room to coach those kids who not only can identify talent, but man, those kids trust them. Those kids trust what they're doing in that offense. And so for that to be a position that Golesh has coached at multiple stops, that's an important position for him. And how critical the tight end position is to this offense. And so I think with it, just as intentional as he's been with every position up to this point, I have to believe he's going to be even more intentionally. He used the word elite a lot, Mike. That's been the buzzword lately. I expect him to get someone who's really good at that position. Again, I want to see someone like a Valdo Fairweather actually reaches his ceiling and potential at Auburn at tight end. I felt like there was a lot of guys who had a high ceiling who never got within arm's reach of reaching that ceiling. I expect them to really use a tight end in such a way, man, to where it's like, you know what, we actually have a tight end that can be drafted in the first day or two of the NFL draft. Like this dude is actually producing. What's the dude play for Florida a few years back? They lined him up all over the field, and he was just a monster.
Kyle Pitts.
I would like to see that type of production in an offense like this.
Who was the last tight end we had that was a problem for folks? Sal Cannella was pretty good. They didn't use him.
They didn't use him at all.
He caught that touchdown the first game of the season, and then you ain't throwing the ball. Yeah.
Who was the last really?
People say Uzoma. I was gonna say Lutz or Uzoma. That was the last tight end who was like really like part of the offense. They really used Lutz.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep thinking that he was a fullback.
No, I remember they were saying Lutz was German for tight end. German for touchdown. God bless him.
Chat, chime in here. Who's the last tight end that y'all thought was that dude? Uzoma went on to have he's still playing in the NFL, right? He went on to have a good. Obviously, they evaluated him at the next level as a dude. And when I saw him catching touchdown passes for the Bengals, I was like, underutilized, so underutilized. John Samuel Sanker, he wasn't tight end, was he?
He was like an H. He was like an H-back type.
Yeah, NH3425 says Shanker.
Who just broke the record at tight end? Somebody just had a ton of catches. What's his name? A couple years ago, like very recent. He just stopped playing
at Auburn. Or
I feel like who's the all-time tight ends leader in catches for tight ends at Auburn?
I don't know.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that question. You remember Robert Johnson?
Rah-rah, yep.
You know Rah-rah? Yeah. Man, again, he made a mistake jumping to the NFL too early. I think he should have come back for another year. But it seemed like there was a time where Auburn was producing them like it was nothing. And they always had back when fullbacks actually got used. Right. What was the guy's name at fullback? I think his last name was Johnson.
Brandon Johnson from Mobile.
Yeah, Brandon Johnson.
Yeah.
Woo! Boy, he could clear some holes for lack back in the day. I just would like to see Auburn. They were talking about in this press release about Atkins, for example. They said that Atkins is like the first All-American linebacker since Carlos Dansby in 2003.
Wow.
Right. That's when my guy Taylor put in the press release. So, you've got to start to get back to evaluating. And remember Los, they told him he was too small to play linebacker.
Man, Los came in, he was a wide receiver, and then he played safety. Yeah.
They told him he was too small. And these guys, man, if this staff gets better at evaluating and placing, Auburn is going to be a much different team in year one, I think. So get guys in the right position, man. Put them in position to make plays, and maybe we're in for a really, really fun year. Now, I think there was an official release of the 2026 schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got the full schedule. We're going to talk about that as well in the second half of the show here. But man, I got to tell you, I'm happy with how this went. It felt like when Freeze was in this position, they were dragging on the hires. Golesh is knocking them out, man. I mean, it really feels like this dude has a plan and a process, and it's coming together a lot faster, which is important because in today's college football, let's keep it a buck. December is a whole different beast now, which is why I think you see teams turning down bowl games. They're like, no, man, the portal opens in January. We got guys planning to hit the portal. If we're trying to hire coaches and do all this stuff, I've got to get my team ready for 2026 as quickly as possible. So I don't have time to be messing around with some lower tier bowl. It's not the college football playoff.
Right. Are you right?
If I'm Notre Dame, I know they took a lot of heat, but if I'm not playing in the playoffs, do I want to turn my attention to improving my team as quickly as possible in December? Early signing day has really changed a lot of the timelines for these coaches in the offseason. If you're a new coach coming in, you really don't stand a chance in that first cycle. Right. When most of the kids were signing in February, it was a lot easier.
Yeah.
Now you're all but signed by the time you get hired. And so you've got to start formulating a plan, get a staff in place, and decide how you're going to hit the portal and pick up like 30 guys.
And to me, I think that's why Hugh Freeze got off to a late start assembling his staff, because I think it was still a little bit of season left when he got hired as Auburn's coach. So he had a little bit of time to actually flip some guys. So he was working on the recruiting trail. I think with coaches getting hired now, it's a short time. You can easily pivot to working on your staff because all the work has been done recruiting for the most part.
Yeah. Look, we're going to get to the break. And when we come back on the other side, myself and Duke's going to carry you guys through to the hour mark, talking even more Auburn football. Caesar's going to hit the road here. Caesar, we appreciate you for joining us here, guys. But before we pay some bills, YouTube has a new feature that we want to tell you all about. YouTube now has a hype button just for the content you love the most. The War Report is delivering the coverage you count on daily, so smash that hype button to help the channel reach more college sports fans. It's a great way to support our work. Smash that hype button. Smash that hype button, and also do us a favor. Post on social media at the War Report, hashtag get your weight up. Also smash like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitter right now, we got over 1,100 people going on, 1,200 people live right now. If you're watching on Twitter, come on over to YouTube and interact with us a little better over there. We appreciate you guys for subscribing to the channel over there. Follow us on X and Instagram at the War Report, TW Report on TikTok. Let's pay some bills, and when we come back, we're going to talk even more Auburn football.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelikaRageRoom.com or BirminghamRageRoom.com.
You guys already know the deal. Sign up as a patron right now. Do not miss the opportunity to become part of one of the greatest, it is the greatest Auburn community online. Our patrons enjoy patron-only live streams, special chat privileges. Plus, we got film reviews, office hours, all kind of stuff behind that paywall for you guys. Also, for what we do, this is the backbone of our business. It helps keep us financially viable. We need your help, guys. $5.99 a month for the cost of 2 cheeseburgers a month. You can help us keep going here at the War Report. We appreciate you guys for signing up. As I mentioned at the top of the show, you can give the gift of the War Report and help somebody else become a member by smashing that gifted membership button. Let's see if we can get a few given away here. I saw some in the chat already. We'll acknowledge those shortly, but we appreciate our Green Name Gang for helping us grow our Green Name Gang. I want to thank our friends at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. Dukes, if you're a small business owner, you have a lot on your plate. Growing the business, taking care of employees, and usually what suffers the most are your personal assets. At Abel's I&O Moore & Associates, their fiduciary advisors are a resource for business owners to make sure that their personal assets are getting the same required attention they give their business every day. Call AMA at 912-777-4128. Scan the QR code on your screen right now or visit aimainc.com to schedule your initial consultation. It's completely complimentary. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's Iron More and Associates for this endorsement. Abel's Iron More and Associates is a SEC registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. I want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Ever run out of vape juice and think, well, I'm just out of luck? Not with Sky Tobacco and Vape around. They've got more locations than the Waffle House. So whether you're on the airport throughway, the 280 bypass, or just cruising up Victory Drive, Sky Tobacco and Vape is probably right around the corner from where you're at. Vapes, tobacco, and deals so good, you'll swear they misprinted the price tags. Sky Tobacco and Vape, good vibes, great deals, and zero judgment if you walk in at 10 p.m. wearing your pajama pants. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop could have something that has you covered. If you've got some traditional ailments that could require some non-traditional remedies, well, the Rogue Shop could have something for you. Our guy Richard is a longtime sponsor of the show. Drop a little something extra in there for everybody using code REPORT today. I want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. The road to knowing self starts at Sets for Society. They've got custom personality assessments to let you know a little bit more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you can think better as a group to achieve like goals. We have taken these assessments here at the War Report. I can tell you, Dukes, it is scary how much this thing nailed our weaknesses, our quirks, and gave us a lot to work on as we grow as a company. We want to be better co-workers. We want to be better teammates. Sets for Society helped us start the journey. They can help you. Visit setsforsociety.ai and fill out the form. They'll reach out and do the rest. Sets for Society. Get to know yourself. Subscribe on podcasts. You see it here, guys. All the podcasts, all the audio content you need right there, multiple times a day. Look, we do 3 to 5 drops a day on podcasts. So there is a never-ending stream of podcast content there for you guys. So come on over to the War Report on whatever podcast platform you listen to, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Weirdly, our second most listened to platform is iHeartRadio. I didn't know y'all was messing with us like that on iHeartRadio, but we appreciate it. So subscribe, turn on automatic downloads, and if you feel like it, leave us a review. That helps us a ton as well too. Dukes, let's jump back into our conversation here. We've got some comments to address. We're going to stick to a strict timeline tonight, guys, because we're going to hop on over to Duke's channel in just a second. So if you are watching us here, you can get even more of this in about 25 minutes over on Dukes the Scoop on YouTube. Please go support Dukes. I can't stress enough, guys. Support those who support us. There are 1,200 people watching. If there are 800 that have not subscribed there, I want to see 800 subscriptions to Dukes the Scoop on YouTube tonight. Dukes, again, as I mentioned, he's almost done filling out his staff. And I think overall people feel like he's done a good job. It feels a lot more organized, very detail-oriented. I haven't asked you this, but I'm going to pose this question to you. With the staff in place and with a good personnel plan in place, what are your year one expectations for Auburn? We're going to talk about the schedule here in just a second, but what do you think here? Is it 8-4 maybe at the end of the season? Are we giving him the 7-5 buffer? Like what kind of patience are you going to have for Auburn in 2026?
7 wins at minimum.
Minimum. Okay.
7 wins minimum. Let's get back to winning meaningful SEC football games. Let's roll Toomer's corner. I just want to have a winning season. That's how low the bar is right now. Just win. Just win. For Auburn, that is very, very low for Auburn. Now, what should it be? I would think, depending on who returns or how this roster sets up, they should win 8-9 games next year, bro. I think they're good for 8 or 9. To be honest, you got everything in place. You got a lot. I mean, you have the potential to really turn it around. I think even if Dirk and Derek Nix would have had this team from day one, I felt like this was an 8-9 win team. Maybe I think you probably leave 3 out there. Think about Oklahoma if the offense did anything. Georgia, I mean, damn the referees. It shouldn't have been that much on the referees with that type of offense. So yeah, I would say, me personally, I would just be happy to say Auburn had a winning season because that hasn't happened since 2020. So I would be happy for that. Half a decade without having a winning season. That is ridiculous for Auburn. So I think you get over the hump. At year 2, you're looking for some real excitement, explosion type deal. But shoot, I would say 8. 7 for me, 8 publicly.
Okay, so yeah, I'm 8. 8. It's 8 for me all the way around.
Okay.
Now you got Baylor in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
I said this last year. I'll say it again, and disrespect intended. You are better than Baylor. For all the games Auburn lost this year, they dominated Baylor. Absolutely ran the talent gap between Auburn and Baylor is as big as the Atlantic Ocean. And they had one of the best passers in college football in Sawyer Robertson.
Yeah, they did.
Right. And so, but it was pretty clear who the more talented team was. It was Auburn. It wasn't particularly close in my book. I think that if you're Auburn, you go out and you win games like this, but you just have to do it more often than you did it last year. All these close games when Free says we were close. Well, I mean, to his credit, they were close on the scoreboard, but you weren't close to being consistent. And if Alex Golesh's process-driven program can produce some consistency, then you should go out and win some of those in-between games. Now, look, I think if Auburn is even just a little bit better at quarterback than they were last year during the span where Jackson Arnold was starting, then you probably are in a much better position and you win some of those games. But the 2026 schedule is brutal, and I want to talk about that here. So I'm going to pull this up. I literally made this graphic while we were talking, so please, if you're watching this, don't give me too bad on this one. But here is your schedule. Right, Baylor, Southern Miss. How huge is that Florida matchup? Right, like you got Florida. That's you get to face off versus the coach that you were trying to hire. Pretty much, it's Southern Miss at Florida. So we get to see Summerall versus Golesh September 19th. Vanderbilt on the road. So neutral site, 3 straight home games. Now, Freeze, not last year, but the year before, Auburn, I think, played 5 home games in a row. Freeze commented on this. He said he hated it. He was like, it's just a lot on fans. Ask them to come out, right? But you got a stretch of 3 straight home games there, 2 of them being SEC games. So if you're Auburn, what do you think? Let's talk about this first 4-game stretch. What do you think from Baylor to Vanderbilt? Auburn should come out at stretch what? 4-0, 3-1, 2-2? What do you think?
I don't know, dog. Neutral site. Let me see it again.
Let's see here.
Neutral site. Man, you should win that one. Southern Miss 2. You should be. I don't know, dog. 3-1. You should go 1-1 Florida Vandy. So yeah, you should be 3-1.
3-1 in the first 4 games. All right. So again, you win the neutral site, and you're going to lose a home game here. This, fortunately for a lot of folks, Diego Pavia is finally out of eligibility. What kind of Vanderbilt team do you think Auburn's going to be facing next year, assuming that Florida retains Lagway and at least some of the talent under Summerall? I mean, Florida's looking. I mean, they're facing all the same challenges that Auburn's facing right now this offseason. New coach, on the talent, you're going to be trying to retain some of these guys here. Some guys are going to walk naturally. But, are they in a better position than Auburn is right now, Florida?
I tell you what, I don't want to play Jaden Ball in that Georgia Tech offense. I mean, I don't want to play Jaden Ball at Florida in that Georgia Tech offense that Buster Faulkner runs. So that's what makes that one tough. I'm glad you get that one in Florida, but they about the same. I mean, Vandy, Jared Curtis, 5-star quarterback. We'll see if he can pull it off. But that offense, man, they do some really weird, like quirky stuff, man, and it works, dog. Like, that offense works. So yeah, I would be glad to split that 1-1. At this point,
just want to point out we reported right here on this very show about Buster Faulkner. You saw where he ended up. And who he ended up with, right? We try to tell folks, like, look, man, Buster had a real chance of landing up at Auburn. Golesh was the only coach that probably wasn't going to bring Faulkner in, which is why he's not at Auburn. But there were a lot of other directions that Auburn could have gone that would ended up with Buster Faulkner being the offensive coordinator here. I do want to pose this question here: Faulkner versus Joel Gordon, who got the better end of that deal?
Probably Faulkner because he get to call it. I think Alex Golesh still gonna call it. I know they.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
Does that make you nervous?
Nah, I like it.
Okay.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, Hugh Freeze said, hey, he called first. It's going to be a smoother version of what Hugh Freeze said when he was like, yeah, he's the first down, he's the second down, I'm the third down. And people were like, bro, what?
What? Yeah.
Man, first of all, man, Hugh Freeze, man. Hey, dog, my boy Hugh, man, when his next stop, did they hire Southern Miss already?
I don't think so.
If Hugh Freeze gets Southern Miss, dog, they got to go get this man look, bro, we need some updated media training. Like, you just can't say everything you think, coach. You cannot. Like, even if it's the truth, don't say it. Man, how many times since you've been covering Auburn, since you were covering Hugh Freeze, did Hugh say something in the press conference? You was like, oh, shit.
Why did he say that?
Yeah, like he didn't know. Sometimes I started thinking, I'm like, man, maybe he just don't know.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. I had this conversation with Hugh after the whole Damari Alston thing. Credit to you. I mean, you use your platform for good. Like, you use your platform literally like a media superhero.
Oh, you stupid, bro.
You put it out there, and I mean, it went massively viral. But like, come on, man! Like, the wording that you used,
right,
implied that Damari was some kind of troublemaker.
Right.
And you and I both know he is the furthest thing from a troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
He's the exact opposite. He's a team guy. He's a straight A student. He was leader of your culture council. Like, Damari was, ideally what you would hope for in a student athlete if you're a coach, talented. Just it didn't work out for him here. But when he called me and we had this conversation about Damari, he said, I wasn't trying to demean Damari, like his character. I'm trying not to sound condescending to a guy who's been coaching way longer than I've been doing sports media.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, Coach, let's keep it real. You know that when you say a guy didn't live up to program expectations and standards, that's what you say when there's an incident that y'all don't want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
His response to me was, legal gave me that statement.
I gave it back to him.
That was exactly my point. My response was, okay, but I'm not letting you off the hook there. You've been doing this long enough to know that if legal gives you that statement, you got to hand it back to him and say, I can't say this.
Right.
And I said this in year one when he kept talking about recruiting right after losses. And I'm like, look, man, that's not the time in the forum to talk about recruiting. Because you're sending the message that I can't win with the guys that I have. And even if that's true, that's not something you say out loud. Because what your players hear is you don't believe in us. You don't think we are good enough to win. And and then whole message board threads were started about screw Mike G, and he keeps talking about messaging. I'm tired of hearing that. And then 2.5 years later, what are they all talking about?
Messaging.
Yeah. You think anybody came back and said, oh, Mike, you were probably right about No. I told you guys about this 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him, man. I hope first of all, I don't feel too bad for nobody finna walk away with 15 M. So he'll be all right. And he did. I tell you what he did do was leave Alex Golesh a cabinet full of groceries to figure it out, because the cupboard was damn near bare when he got it. So shout out to you.
Yeah,
but now it's Golesh time, and we got to figure out how he's gonna get through this schedule. Because my son has not really seen an Auburn winning team since he's been watching football for real.
It's such a sad statement.
Yeah, man, like he hasn't. So it's time, dog.
Well, speaking of that schedule, let's jump back in here. I fixed it a little bit so they all fit within there, right? So after Vanderbilt, you're on the road for a couple of weeks at Tennessee, at Georgia. That's a pretty brutal stretch. Let's start it. Your SEC stretch starts with Florida at home, Vanderbilt at home. Then you go on the road to Tennessee. Looks like there's a bye week between Tennessee and Georgia, so at least you get a little bit of a reprieve. And then after Georgia, you got to face Lane Kiffin's LSU. Then you get Ole Miss. And then you get Arkansas. So let's talk about this next 4-game stretch from Tennessee to Ole Miss. Again, what are you looking at? What constitutes successful coming out of this 4-game stretch that sees 3 road games at Tennessee, at Georgia, at Ole Miss, home against LSU?
Man, being healthy.
Yeah.
That would constitute success, being healthy.
Being healthy?
Being healthy. Like, I mean, coming out of that's a brutal stretch. Is that going to Rocky Top, going to Athens, LSU at home, and then going to Ole Miss? I mean, I think Ole Miss is the win there. You know, that's still not a gimme. It's the SEC, dog. Like, that's a tough stretch, man, to be honest.
2-2 might be good coming out. I think this is why you got to go. Honestly, I think this is where you got to be 3-1 in your first 4-game stretch, right? So if you go 2-2 over the next stretch, you're like what, 5-3,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're 5-3 headed into November, and then if you could find a way to clean what really is a very manageable November slate. Now, of course, you got to go to Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford. It's pretty manageable during the month of November. You've got a chance to win 9 games. If you get 3 and you lose to Alabama, you're at the 8 that we talked about being that potential floor for year 1. But yeah, I think maybe 2-2 at this stretch. What 2 are you giving them though? Right? Like, again, are you taking LSU and Ole Miss? You know, do they? Well, it's been a while. Auburn's going to Tennessee. Like, what 2 are you giving them?
LSU and Ole Miss. Right now. I mean, you can only look at what you have right now. I mean, Tennessee, going to Tennessee. I don't know. That's going to – oh, you know what? That Tennessee, that's going to be kind of like Danielson versus Mr. Miyagi, right?
Yeah.
So that might be cool.
Eiffel and Golesh.
Right. So we'll see what offense stays out there the longest. But, yeah, I would go LSU, Ole Miss. I mean, Pete Golden, you know, it's going to be different, right? But I think you still get at least one of those quarterbacks at Ole Miss next year, whether it be Chambliss or Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons was like had Heisman odds going into the season. Like, he didn't forget how to play football.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And then again, to round the discussion out before we get to your super chats, because we got to get out of here. Rounding out that November stretch, as I mentioned, right? Arkansas at home, Mississippi State on the road, Samford at home, Alabama in Tuscaloosa. What do you see for Auburn in the month of November this year?
If you're going off this year, you got to go 3-1. Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Samford. Can't count Bama as a win right now. You should, though. But right now, you can't count Bama as a win. So, not on the road.
Mississippi State, how are they going to be next year? What do you think about it?
The offense is going to be straight. They're going to throw it around. Then they got my boy back, right? They got Arnett back at defensive coordinator. So they're going to be better. I think another year in the transfer portal. This will be the best. This will be the best Mississippi State team that we've seen since Levy's been there. As long as they keep their good guys out of the portal, like that Mississippi State team is different if Mario Craver stays. So I think they'll be better, but I don't think they'll be better than Auburn.
Yeah, look, it's again for our listeners on podcast. I just want to run through this one more time. The 2026 Auburn schedule is out. Neutral site at Baylor. This was a home game that got moved to Atlanta, which, let's be honest, it may not be in Auburn. It's still a massive home field advantage for Auburn. Baylor fans, if you're watching this, it's a very easy drive from Auburn, Alabama, to the Mercedes-Benz Dome. I don't know if there's an easier commute from a small college town to a big city than the trip from Auburn to Atlanta, where this game is going to be played. So Auburn fans, I'm expecting they're going to sell that out. It's going to be packed. There's a large concentration of Auburn grads in Atlanta anyway, so a lot of the folks going to the game are not going to have to come from Auburn. Not going to go far. Southern Miss clock that as a dub for Auburn, hopefully. Florida, this is going to be an intriguing, I think, matchup early in the season. But you are at home and against a team that's trying to do the same thing you're doing. As a matter of fact, they hired the guy that you tried to hire. And so if Golesh can take out Summerall in year one, I think big tone-setting dub for Auburn. And if you can get through Florida, you do have a realistic shot of finishing this schedule 4-0. This is going to be a very different Vanderbilt team next year, in my estimation. I don't think you just find another Diego Pavia, so we'll see if Vanderbilt can continue this. Yeah, credit to them. They got screwed. They should have been in the college football playoff. I don't care what nobody says. That team should have been in the playoffs. They earned it. An SEC team that ran through their schedule 10-2, and they're not going to make a 12-team playoff. Give me a break. They got jobbed, and I will die on that hill. But I don't think they're going to be the same team next year without Diego. Again, ready to eat crow on that one if Clark can go out and find the next stud. But look, it's harder than it seems to reload at quarterback. So if you're Auburn and you get through Florida, you got a real chance of finishing that stretch 4-0. Then you're at Tennessee October 3rd, at Georgia after a bye week October 17th. It's been a long time since Auburn has logged a win versus Georgia, let alone in Athens. I think 2005 was the last time they went into Athens and got the win. So, a chance for Golesh really to break some long-standing bad streaks here with the schedule. You take on Lane Kiffin's LSU October 24th, and then Pete Golding's Ole Miss October 31st. Then your November stretch, Arkansas at home, Mississippi State on the road, Stanford at home, and Alabama on the road. So no bye weeks in the month of November this year. Your bye weeks come between October 3rd and October 17th. And it looks like there is, where's that other bye week? Where am I missing it? Oh, yeah, where am I missing it? Oh, I'm missing the other bye weeks, Dukes.
No, I don't know, bro.
I think it's from, I don't know.
I only see no.
My eyes might be playing tricks on me. But either way, if you're Auburn, again, there's a massive opportunity on this schedule to go log some good wins. The one thing Hugh Freeze's era was missing, Dukes, was a signature win. I don't think he had a signature win in almost 3 years here. So
maybe that Texas A&M game.
Yeah, a lot of people pointed to that. I don't know, man. There was nothing on the line really.
I forgot that. My son reminded me. I forgot they beat them.
Yeah, I mean, 4 OTs. I was there down on the field, and it was wild. I'll never forget the photographers running from end zone to end zone there with Auburn. But what did that do for you?
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't really do. It was nice. It was the best win, I think, of the Hugh Freeze era. But the way Baylor's season turned out, I don't know if I would log that as a quality win.
It should have been, man. Golly, man, how good did it feel after week one? That it went the what? Good gracious,
straight off the cliff after
that.
Yeah, I called that game 38-21. They won 38-24. A lot of folks came at me and said, "Look, you think Auburn's going to score 38 points?" I said, "I do think they're going to score 38 points because I think this team has got the talent to do that." Now, Baylor played a role in that. But look, let's get to some comments before we get out of here. Dukes, I want to thank you for joining me on today's show. AU Alum 94, the $50 super chat. We appreciate this. Said, just because these guys keep doing what they do, War Damn Eagle, we appreciate that. The Can Lee gave away 5 War Rapport memberships. We appreciate that. JD and Courtney gifted 5 memberships as well. Appreciate that. James Barnett, member for 58 months. He's been rocking with us for a while. Good to see Dukes on the show, fellas. This staff is shaping up to be elite, just as AG has stated multiple times. I think this team will be as well. I think Auburn fans would agree with you in hoping that this shapes up the same way the staff appears to be. The Can Lee says, everything looks so promising. I have a lot of hope for next year, but it doesn't mean ish till we see W's. True statement here by DeCan Lee, one of our most prolific commenters. At the end of the day, you got log dubs. That's what it comes down to. So let's go win some ball games here, and the rest is water under the bridge. Perry Unlikely says, there's a song, F You Pay Me. My message to every coaching staff now is F You Show Me, but I'm excited
But I'm excited, dog.
In my Tommy from Martin voice. That's funny. Oh, man. I love it when people come on and they're clearly from our era.
Yeah, that's cool.
NH3425 says Golesh and his War Eagle warlords are going to bring Auburn back to glory. This is the way, War Damn Eagle. NH3425 also says put some respect on Cooper Wallace. I forgot about
Cooper Wallace.
Cooper was very good. He came on the show a couple times too. We did a real good building report segment with Cooper. Appreciate him. JJ Brand says B Will has vacation time. Need him to pop in soon. He was on last week to talk recruiting with Ike. If you missed it on that midweek rapport, DK Lee comes back with the $4.99 super chat. Said I'd like to see new tight end, a Nick Fairley type pass rusher, and an O line that doesn't false start. True story.
Hey, what, you crazy, man.
Well, like, wow. NH3425 says 7 wins minimum and win the damn bowl game. So 8 wins by means of a bowl is what you're saying here. I can't rock with 7 wins in the regular season because that means you lost the game you weren't supposed to. I think at 7 wins, you blew one. And I hope that Auburn is done with that under Alex Golesh. If you're putting in a process-driven program, let's see, man. Your process should be better than the other guy's process, and it should net you 8 wins. 7 wins, man. Come on, no more of that. NH3425 says we play Ole Miss on Halloween. I'll dress as Lane Kiffin. Interesting comment there. Man of Valor 1995 says these teams better come extremely conditioned. Who do y'all think is going to match the tempo of this offense?
Levy and Hyper.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Hyper
Levy.
especially.
Yeah. Let Levy go. Like Levy likes to go fast. When Levy gets rolling, he likes to go fast.
Yeah.
He just had Levy. Hey, Kamario Taylor down at Mississippi State, he's gonna be a problem next year. Mark my words.
Kamario Taylor, you heard it here, guys. Watch out for Kamario down there at Mississippi State. Last super chat before we get out of here. Singram 23 says heard that Cody Burns had dinner with Cam and his family last night.
Well, yeah, good sources. Boy, hey, see, Ingram, you know something.
Oh, with Cam Coleman and his family last night. Okay. I can verify that in 2 clicks of a button. So, yep. Okay. All right. Good deal. Look, man, they have made it clear to Cam that he is a priority. And I like that. They put the full court press on them, Dukes. They had everybody in that meeting with him last week. Said you are important. As I mentioned, but while we're talking about guys that fit, there are some guys, it just don't matter. They fit. Cam is one of them ones. So, hopefully, Golesh can get him to come back, pair him with one of these USF guys. I'm interested to see what Singleton's going to do. Malcolm Simmons is another guy that I just think we saw in that Iron Bowl. He's so dangerous if you could just get him the ball regularly enough. He didn't need number 4 catches to produce like 150 yards receiving. And they called one back. He should have had 200 yards receiving.
For real. He went crazy.
That Iron Bowl. Yeah. Video game good was Malcolm Simmons. I hear people on Perry when they say we didn't lose a lot of production. I'm not really putting a ton of that on Perry. I just think everybody in this offense was underutilized. Some guys more so than others. So, we'll see what it produces here. Let's go on and get out of here. As I mentioned, we're not done with the conversation tonight, guys. Head on over to Dukes the Scoop on YouTube, where we will continue talking more Auburn football tonight. Let's get out of here. Before we do, though, share this video on social media at the War Report, #GetYourWeightUp. Like and subscribe on the channel. If you're watching this on Twitter, we got almost 2,000 people live here tonight on Friday night in the off season. That's commitment, guys. We want to see you over on YouTube, though. So if you're watching this on social media, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, head on over to the YouTube and subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on all notifications so you don't miss a single drop. Or you can follow us on X and Instagram at the War Report, also TW Report on TikTok. Let's sign off. We'll see you guys in a minute over at Deuce the Scoop. Guys, War Eagle.